seasonal adventurers, I hope you can hear me. I'm on the Sky Bus, destination Melbourne Airport. I'm leaving what was known as Spencer Street Station, is now Southern Cross Station. I just wanted to flip to where my suitcase is because there's, I don't know, just to show you. Definitely suitcases come in different sizes. Mine is on the top tier and it's the second from the right with the jigsaw puzzle, what do you call it, luggage tag. I wasn't aware Skybus has a double-decker. Has double-decker coaches. So that staircase goes up to level 1, but I'm happy just to sit here by the door. Seems quieter down here anyway. I know it's kind of like the cargo hold in a way, but that's fine. Just waiting for the departure time. Just waiting for the bus to depart. Okay, and we're on our way. From memory, this is the first time I'm taking the Sky Bus leaving the city. I have taken the Sky Bus from the airport to the city, but this is the first time, the other way around. So it does feel strange if you've been following me a while, or if you're new. I usually am a car driver, but my car is parked left at the apartment in Doncaster. And I would normally in the past, when I lived with family, I would leave my car in the long-term parking in Melbourne Airport, so that when I disembarked my return flight, I could just hop in my car and drive home. But now that I've got my own apartment, my own residence with its dedicated car space, I thought I'd just leave it there. Obviously it saves money to leave, as the term suggests, long-term parking is long-term, so not just one night. I wouldn't imagine they wouldn't allow you they would not prevent you from staying one night, overnight, your car, but it's designed for longer trips. So if you're away like me, annual leave for about 4 weeks, your car would be there for about 4 weeks.
Skybus wishes to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of Naarm, also known as Melbourne. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty of the land we know as Australia has never been ceded.
It's quite appropriate that they give an acknowledgement of country on this public service, although it's privately run. Yes, for those new to Melbourne or those that live in Melbourne, you well know that we are one of the few capital cities that does not have a train line to connecting the city to the airport. There's been talk about it back and forth for decades, and as you know, I'm a half glass empty person, so I'm thinking I'm not going to see that train line built in my lifetime, but maybe I'll be proved wrong.
Welcome aboard the Skybus Express service to Melbourne International Airport, Tullamarine. We care about your safety, so please remain seated throughout our journey. Upon arrival at Melbourne Airport, we will provide more information regarding our 2 stops. In the meantime, please sit back, relax and feel free to use our complimentary Wi-Fi powered by Vodafone. Thank you for choosing to travel with Skybus.
You're welcome. What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Yes, Melbourne is one of the few major cities that doesn't have a train line. So it is connected by the Skybus. Of course, you could take Uber and taxis, but as far as I know, there's no other public bus lines to the airport. Yes, you could say it's monopolized by Skybus, and I would think that Skybus interests would hope there would never be a train line, because then it would affect their profits for people to have another choice of accessing the city. So another works which is newer than the idea of ever getting a train line from the city to the airport is how are they describing it, like a eastern suburbs train loop. So as we should, copying New York and London's underground network, train network, where it loops around. So if you needed to get across, say, east to west or west to east in London, you wouldn't have to go right into the city and then back out another train line. You would just go across from east to west or west to east, and there would actually be several train lines to choose from. But Melbourne's train line is not designed like that. If you Google the Melbourne train network, it kind of branches out like a star from the center of the city, branching out in 45-degree angles around, northwest, south and east. So so if you wanted to get from one side of the metropolitan or suburban Melbourne to the other by train, you'd have to go into the city and then back out again, or otherwise maybe have at least two connecting bus lines to get you from one side of town to the other. So this new, I'm not getting the name right, but you can Google it too, it's like an Eastern train network, is meant to connect, apparently it is meant to connect suburbs like Doncaster and Bulleen. I won't believe it until I actually see it, and I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. But if it does, in future, I would be able to catch an underground train near Doncaster, and that would go all the way to the airport or connect near to the airport. I may need to catch another train line, but at least I wouldn't have to do like I did today, which I didn't bother filming the bus route 907 from Doncaster because unlike this view here, I didn't have a clear view out my window. It had advertising skinned across the side of the bus, and therefore this pixelated edge you can see here was right across the window, and it really didn't make for good viewing or vlogging. So I waited until I'm on this bus to actually make commentary. So yeah, I've journeyed from my apartment in Doncaster, catching the bus, which goes along Doncaster Road. I thought I would actually have to wait in the bus hub of Westfield shopping town itself, but no, it actually travels along Doncaster and it doesn't enter the shopping centre. So luckily I didn't wait inside there, and also I'm glad I looked it up where the bus stop would be. So it was only a couple of 3 minutes walk from my apartment to that bus stop, and I got off at QV, which is a Queen Vic building where I've filmed before. There's a food court in there, there's Big W. It's near Stalactites, which is that souvlaki 24-hour Greek restaurant. It's near China Bar. Anyway, then I decided I thought I'd wait for a tram along, where was I? Along Swanston's? No, along Burke Street. But it was just too full. Sundays, it really surprised me. Firstly, how many people are on the bus on the 907 with me, leaving Doncaster. And no surprise, the number of people in the city on a Sunday taking public transport, especially inside the city grid. At present, as I'm talking to you, it hopefully won't change, but it's a free tram zone inside the Melbourne CBD grid. And just take note of the signage and audio voiceovers in the tram will tell you whether you're about to reach the end of the free tram zone, and therefore you would need to use what's called a Myki card to tap on to pay for your fare the rest of the way. But because I was inside the grid going to this stop which I got on, the train and bus station, which is Southern Cross Station, it was still within the free tram zone, so that's good. And I had to pay obviously for this. One-way adult is $22. That's pretty reasonable, I think. Like if you caught a taxi, it would probably cost about the same. Despite being a driver, it is nice. I mean, that's what a holiday's for, where I don't have to worry about parking or petrol, or obviously concentrating on the road ahead of me, traffic jams, other drivers. Just have to sit back, and I couldn't do this obviously if I'm driving. Sorry to state the obvious. I don't mean to state the obvious. I mean, I might as well keep vlogging actually. This might be interesting for those that have never been to Melbourne. This is the view you'd get. We're on one of the freeways. This would be called, I think, the City Link. So I don't have, certain sections of freeway in Melbourne, you need a card. You need a tag, electronic tag to your car, so that when you pass certain barriers overhead, it will charge you accordingly, like a toll. Yeah, it's a tollway. So that's another reason why it doesn't attract me to drive. I mean, from Doncaster, I wouldn't use this freeway because this freeway is more suitable if you're actually leaving the city, whereas going from Doncaster, I would just take a secondary road called Bell Street and then connect onto the freeway where it doesn't have tolls at that point. But this part that we're going on right now, the bus is obviously equipped with an e-tag, and there's probably some, general account that Skybus has with the people who run and manage the e-tag, and yeah, the Skybus company is charged accordingly for every time the bus uses the sections of freeway which has an electronic tag for a toll. So yeah, as you can still see, it's quite grey outside. There's specks of sunlight trying to get through. It's stopped raining, and it doesn't seem as cold as it was this morning. It's getting on to the afternoon now. I'll definitely be within range of the 2 p.m. check-in at the Holiday Inn, which is my destination when I get to the airport. It's only a short walking distance. There's actually at least 3 hotels near the Melbourne airport. I can show them to you when we get there. One of them is most expensive. I think it could almost be 5-star or at least 4.5 star. That distance is the closest to the terminals of Melbourne Airport. The next closest would be Holiday Inn, which I've chosen. And then there's a cheaper, kind of a motel style, I think it's changed name. It used to be called Formula One. I don't think it's called that anymore. But that is very basic accommodation, but then that's all you need really. If you're having a layover in Melbourne, or you've got an early flight the next morning and you want to stay somewhere that's walking distance to the airport, these 3 hotels can do just that. I can't quite remember the name of the luxury hotel that's closest to the airport, but I will show you. And yeah, Holiday Inn is the one in between that budget hotel and the 4.5 to 5-star hotel. Okay, what else can I tell you while we're traveling along here? Melbourne being one of the, not only Melbourne, Australia being one of the British colonies, and mind you, I'm terrible with history, so I'm not going to go too deep. I'm just wanting to say of interest, as Australia is one of the British colonies, we drive on the left-hand side of the road, just like England does. So as you can see, well, you can't see maybe if I just pan this way, the cars opposing traffic is travelling on the other side of the road, and we're travelling on the left-hand side of the road. So yeah, if you ever decide to drive in Melbourne, it's a fairly easy drive, I believe. Well, I'm biased because I live here and I drive. So yeah, I mean, cars have GPS these days. Every phone has a GPS. If you're just using major roads and not sort of venturing out sort of in the middle of nowhere, you'll be okay. I mean, you might get a little bit lost because it's a new city and you might be disorientated, but as long as you get your bearings and maybe get a few landmarks in mind, you'll be okay. But obviously if you're staying in the city itself, you're probably not going to be driving. You're going to be using the free tram zone and taking full advantage of that, or just walking around the city, or even renting one of those bikes. Those bicycles that you could rent is quite common practice in many cities. Probably leading the way would be, I'd be thinking of cities like Amsterdam, which has a high population of cyclists and cyclist users. Yes, so I hope you can hear me okay. I'm only using a phone to vlog. Unlike other fellow travelers, they have a gimbal and a GoPro, etc. I don't have that. I'm just a very basic vlogger, like a visual diary, and just having you as a fly on the wall along the way. It's just nice. I'm repeating myself on it, but it is nice just to be a passenger for a change and just not have to worry about driving. So that's great. So if you're wondering how much longer this vlog's going to be, I'd say just kind of, I know there's no real sort of landmarks to go by, but just judging by how long we've been traveling and roughly where I know where the airport is, I'd say we're definitely at least a third of the way, if not halfway. So it's kind of different, like I said, from this perspective, because I wouldn't use this freeway to go to the airport. I would come from Bell Street and then connect onto probably where this freeway will lead to. But at that point, when I leave or get on the on-ramp from Bell Street to this freeway, there is no more tolls from that point on. So that would be a very popular route if you lived in the eastern suburbs like me to get to the airport and you didn't have an electronic tag, a toll tag. You would take Bell Street and connect onto the first on-ramp that connects to this freeway that does not have any tolls. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, yeah, I didn't realize Skybus has double-decker buses, obviously reminiscent of London. Other countries obviously have double-decker buses, but for me it's quite iconic. When I think of double-decker buses, I immediately think of London, and I'm sure I'll be seeing them very soon. Of course, after almost 24 hours, yeah. I'll explain in real time why I chose to go via Sydney to London rather than just Melbourne to... I can't remember my stopover in terms of an airport stopover. It's likely to be Dubai, because many Qantas flights to London go via Dubai. I imagine it's Dubai, but I can check my itinerary when I get to or recheck my itinerary when I get to the hotel. I have chosen to go via Sydney Airport though. So tomorrow my flight leaves at 12 noon and the first destination is Sydney, which I will change aircraft, I assume, yes, because there's only a domestic flight to an international flight, Qantas all the way. I will have my baggage with me. That bag that I've chosen is small enough to take onto the plane. Hopefully it's not overweight. I didn't bother checking the weight actually. I didn't buy one of those scales to check the weight. I think 30 kilograms is the limit. And I've got a little shoulder bag which you can't quite see at the moment, but yeah, they'll take that on board with me. Well, actually both bags will be on board with me, but it's nice to have a little shoulder bag with me with like toiletries and stuff like that. And I made sure that the toiletries are all within limits, like, you know, whatever the acceptable limit, not like carrying a 1 litre bottle of water or Coke or anything like that. Yeah. So I know there's not much to see if you're driving. You're just going to see these sound barriers or safety barriers, as you can see. Yeah, obviously they're very helpful to divide the traffic and not have cars collide into each other. There was sections, at least one section of this freeway at one point where it was a very poor design, where there was pretty much an on-ramp, and then in the next few meters there was an exit ramp. So it was very confusing. So as people are trying to, I think it's this part here they've divided. Can you see the cars are divided from where we are? We can't merge. In the past, this section here, this notorious section, there was a part where you could exit, but then there was a part that you could enter as well, and they were very close to each other, so that's very bad, very dangerous. So as cars were trying to exit and merge, the cars here were trying to enter and merge. Very bad design. I hate to think how many potential accidents occurred because of that, but now they've divided it so you can't merge until it's obviously safe, and the merging lane is separate to any other exit or merging on-ramp merging lanes. So yeah, so I wonder if heads rolled for that poor choice of design. Despite being a car driver, I do wish Melbourne was more like London or New York, where it could have more underground train networks. But I mean, we are getting there. It's called the Metro Tunnel, or the tunnelling system that's happening around the city. That's why there's still those barricades and construction at Federation Square, because one of the exit points, eventually, it may take years, people will be able to exit out onto Federation Square from the underground network. So yeah, but I just don't think that's enough. I mean, I know if you Google Metro tunnelling works Melbourne, you'll see there are, you know, at least half a dozen new stations, but I think that still scratches the surface. I'm no expert, but Melbourne's population continues to grow, and lots of people love to live in the city. If you can afford it and you're working in the city, yeah, and obviously people need to come into the city to work. And currently, if you live in the outer suburbs, all you really have is a car. I mean, there is a bus, but you'd be spending hours and wasting time trying to, catch a bus to catch a train to get into the city. It's not practical. Melbourne town planners should have foreseen the explosion in populations over the decades, and they really should have built the train lines accordingly for the urban sprawl, I think they call it. So anyway, like where I live in Doncaster, there's only buses. There's no train or tram lines to Doncaster. The nearest tram line would be Borwen, which would be kilometres away, and the nearest train stations are either Box Hill or Heidelberg. Box Hill would be closer, but if I wanted to catch a train from Box Hill, I would have to catch a bus first and then catch a train to Box Hill to the city. So again, it's like a two-step connection instead of just having a Doncaster train station. And it's no stretch of the imagination that other cities in the world base their train stations around shopping centres or even apartments. So a major train station above the train station that's underground would have a mix of commercial and residential use. So the people who lived in that apartment, if they needed to get to work, they would just have to go down a few floors into the station, and there you go. Or if you needed to go to the supermarket would be likely on the concourse level, just above the train line on the street level, and then above that would be the apartment. So that would be the ideal combination. And again, mind you, I am a car driver, so again, depending on how much you can afford, an apartment could have car spaces, and they could build car spaces attached to this apartment, which is attached to the train station. So yeah, the potential is there. Anyway, I guess one of the stations that reminds me of that concept, not exactly that there's apartments above this station, but is Box Hill. Box Hill is an ever-growing population and suburban centre, which is connected by trams, buses and trains. So it's very appealing there. It ticks the 3 boxes of public transport. And yeah, apartments have come up there, over the last 10 to 15 years. The skyline, I think, looks horrible, but that's another vlog you can watch where there's one particular tower which is the tallest in the Box Hill skyline that I think is really ugly in terms of its design and colour. I don't really understand why it has to be that tall, but obviously the Box Hill Council or whoever needs to approve that, the building planners allowed that to be. I can see that tower from my apartment. Maybe I'll show you that one day. I'm on the upper floor, so if I look out the walkway to the end of the hallway, I can, and that goes to, and I look towards Box Hill, I can see this ugly tower. It's kind of a metallic greyish, greenish.
At Melbourne's Tullamarine Airport. We care about your safety, so please remain seated until the bus comes to a complete stop. We have 2 stops and 2 stops only. Our first stop is for passengers departing from Terminal 2 for all international departures, Terminal 3 Virgin departures, and Terminal 4 Jetstar, Regional Express and Air North departures. Our second and final stop is for passengers departing from Terminal 1 Qantas Domestic and Qantas Link departures. On behalf of everyone at Skybus, we wish you a very safe and enjoyable onward journey, and we look forward to seeing you when you next choose to travel.
Well, based on that voiceover announcement, I'll get off at stop 2, because from memory the Qantas domestic terminal is the closest in proximity to the Holiday Inn. I mean, they all are really. I could get off at the first stop, but I'll let all the other passengers get off. I don't want to be in the throng of all those people, and I'll just sit back and wait for the Qantas domestic terminal stop. Yeah, so we're on the perimeter of Melbourne Airport now. This bus that you can see here is the bus I would have normally taken if I parked in the long-term parking. That's a free service shuttle that takes you from the long-term parking area. It's an outdoor area, so not undercover, so open to all the elements of weather, and that will take you to the terminals that the announcement has just told us. It has more than one stop than this service, so it has multiple stops that you could get off at. And yeah, I would say that the labeling of that bus would be parking, or just look for that P symbol and that will take you to the car park if you're parking at long-term parking. So yeah, just looking at the counter on my phone, I've been talking for about 25 minutes, so there you go. It takes about under half an hour to travel. This is by the freeway as well, mind you. So if I had have driven from Bell Street, it may take longer because Bell Street is not, the speed limit is not 100 kilometers per hour. It would only be 60 or 70 at most, and even dropping down to 50 when it's in, you know, busy pedestrianised sections like shopping areas. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, I'll get off at stop 2. So I imagine, I'm just assuming most people would get off. Maybe it's equal, but I think there'd be a lot of international travellers. It's great that the international travel is back to normal pretty much since you know what. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of international departures today. But like I said, I'll get off at stop 2, which is the domestic Qantas stop. They might be here for a few minutes because people have to scramble to get their luggage, and if they're sitting above me on the upper deck, they need to step down and come back down here to get their luggage. Just as long as nobody takes my bag by mistake. Worth of clothes. Some of these suitcases are huge. It looks like I'm right. The majority of people are getting off here, and just a handful of people left over to go to the domestic terminal. Qantas, yeah, next one, yeah. My next one, sorry, that little bag is not mine, that's mine there, askew. But yeah, it looks like the majority of passengers have gotten off here at stop 1. I'll be getting off at stop 2. It's nice of the driver to check which stop I was going to, although technically he doesn't need to know that I'm not actually catching a flight today. But yeah, that's not important. I mean, that's not important for him to know. Just, yeah, what I need to be doing. So again, not meaning to say the obvious, international airport like Melbourne would operate not 24/7 but 7 days a week. So being Sunday, yeah, you can see just from the visuals maybe how busy or not it is. It's about almost mid-afternoon now. I can't see the clock when I'm filming, but I think it'll be between 2 and 3 p.m. Better get ready. I can see the next Skybus stop here. So this is my stop. Seems to be some issue. The bus can't move forward enough to let us off. I assume it's not just a regular car. I don't know what that woman's problem is. The woman in the red top. She sounds like she's complaining about something. Can't please everyone, eh? What is going on with this lady? Oh, there she has parked her vehicle there. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you. That small bag's not mine. There's a small bag that does belong to me. There's a little bag that does not belong to me. Just letting you know. Oh my gosh, she's taking an elderly person. Fair enough. But she's technically parked in a bus zone. Anyway, not my place to judge. Just observe. Okay. There's too much information. I'm just going to make a toilet stop in here before I head to the hotel. So I'll stop filming now. I'm not sure what the rules are filming inside a terminal, so I better stop before any security guard talks to me.